now that you have found your three sets of words, one for the world, one with the planet, and one from the whole, then we can move forward with how to interact, work with these words. Now, having said that, if all you've done is for the world, then that's great. So long as you've done one for one of the activities, that's great. That's very helpful here. Now, what becomes important here is to take the words and figure out which ones are verbs and which ones are nouns. It's important to be able to distinguish between the verbs and the nouns, because when you take a look at the words that you have, if they are verbs, they're suggesting actions. If you've got nouns, they're suggesting outcomes. And therefore, if you were to say something like harmony, well, harmony would be a noun. And harmonizer could also be the identity you give yourself. If you were to name, well, I'm a harmonizer, and what I do is that I improve, strengthen harmony in communities. That might be your legacy intention. So again, when you start to look at these nouns and verbs, they give you clues as to how you're looking at your legacy intention. Are you looking at it through an action lens or through an outcome lens? And either one will work. However, there is something I would offer in at this point in time. If your word for the world, with the planet, from the whole, happens to be light or love, I would suggest that you look to your secondary words that you have identified. And the reason being is that harmonizing the community harmony, or managing for community harmony, let's say that was your legacy intention, then the outcome, the ultimate outcome of that would be light and love. Now, by saying what I've just said, I'm not saying your word can't be light or love. I'm just encouraging you to open up the possibility that the ultimate outcome is light and love. However, the legacy intention you're setting up to get to light and love is what you're going to be paying attention to. Now, having created the nouns and the verbs, and you're clear about them, and you've done it for each of the activities or for the one activity, then what I'm going to encourage you to do is to start looking at how the verbs connect with the nouns. Now, I've given you something like manage the community harmony. Another one might be I'm a weaver, and what you do is you weave community conversations. Another one might be is that you instruct people in how to get out of poverty, and you want to create a legacy intention around that. Another one might be is that you want to educate youth about the water issues of Africa. That might be another one. Again, as you start to bring your verbs and your nouns together, what kind of statement comes forward for you? Now, here's a little bit of a tip clue that might be of help to you. When you take your list of verbs and nouns, you can connect through words like for, from, because of, your, through. There are different connector words that you can put into play here. So this is a time to just play with your verbs and nouns, because what will happen is a statement will pop out, an intention will pop out that you would be able to work with, to be able to say, I have insight into my legacy intention. I can use that so that I can clarify from consistency, if I consistently use that term, to involve others. What you might also do is you might find how that contributes from your confidence, is that if I have confidence in that statement, then there's a sense of certainty that goes with it, enthusiasm, inspiration, then I can truly get into my contribution associated with it. It's also a great way in which to find ways to collaborate from the community, those that you've involved, is to get them to collaborate around your legacy intention. And again, even if it's only for yourself, just to get into the full management, the full leadership, the full involvement with that statement. Next you can do is this notion of communication from commitment. Because if you're committed to that legacy intention statement, when you communicate, you are placing your head, heart, and hands in that commitment to that legacy intention. Another possibility is collaborate from community, because of those that you're interacting with, and because you have the confidence and you have the ability to have community, you have got lots around you, then what you can do is that you can figure out how to collaborate with everyone. And then finally, you have the ability to co-create with others around your legacy intention statement that allows for the capacity of community, the capacity of each individual. Now you notice that those words that I just gave you, those C-related words like clarify from consistency and the other four, were the benefits associated with coming to know what your legacy intention is. So what I would do is I would take your legacy intention or a couple of phrases, go back to the benefits page of the course, reread the benefits and the legacy intention, and see what happens for you. It will probably improve focus and strengthen your legacy intention. Another thing that you can do is you can go back to the reasons for learning your legacy intention, is about understanding it so that when you go to put it into practice. And what I'm talking about there is your footprints, your thought marks, your vitality steps, your essence tours, and your whole leaps. You can go back and read that page again and connect it to your legacy intention and see if the reasons why you went to learn about your legacy intention comes out through that lens of the reasons why you want to know what your legacy intention is. So again, use the resources that are in the course to take a look at your legacy intention, because you brought your verb and your noun together. Now you might be saying, well, hang on, they're all verbs. Great, there's a pattern there. So what might be some nouns? What might be some outcomes you associate with those verbs that frame up your legacy intention? Now, again, remember, do it for the activities of for the world, with the planet, from the whole. And as you continue to unfold, you will eventually end up with a statement that applies for the world, with the planet, from the whole. So you'll end up with 3 statements. And then the great fun begins, is that you can use those 3 legacy intentions and see if there's something that blends together. Or what you can do is you can enter into looking at the values and the challenges and the projects and the stories and the contributions linked to each legacy intention, because that's what you would have to take into consideration to front up, to bring to the foreground your legacy intention so that others can understand what you're doing, but most of all, so that you know how it touches your head, heart, and hands. And that's why we're doing this sort of word search to explore and discover the words that you associate with those 3 activities. So with that, again, please comment below, even put your legacy intention statements below in the comment section. And if there's a private question I can ask you, you can use the contact form. So let's leave it at that. And then with your questions and with your asks, if there's something more I can add in, I'll certainly drop it into the course. And because you've signed up, you will get an email with any updates to the course itself. So with that, take care.